All right, we're going to try this one more time, folks. See if we can go live and everything will work. Yeah. Okay. You guys can. Or partaking. We're going to talk about pores. We're going to talk about wrinkles. And most likely, I'm going to show you the easiest possible way to get that done. That's most likely what I'm going to do. But we'll see what we do from there. And maybe we get a little bit complicated. And let's just make sure that we are live. Heading over to my channel. Yep. Sweet. There we go. Cool Bear, how are you? It's almost like Colbert. All right, leave me a comment. Let me know if you can see me. You can hear. Let's move this up. Uh-oh. Hey, Josh. Now, there's quite the delay over there at Facebook. All right. Let's get in about business here. It's a pretty compressed color. I got my monitor, big monitor off to the side. Okay, so we got our 3 cameras here for us to look at. We got the action cam, we got face cam, and you got this. Day 6. Day 6 was about the grind. And the grind is just about identifying different things and starting to drill down. Now, you know, the one thing, and I need to be straight with you guys, you know, the one thing that you got to keep in mind is, you know, everybody I know that does this professionally, they don't do this in a 12-day of Christmas. They don't do this in an hour at a time. It takes 30 plus hours on a face to develop the face, right? And to put the time and the love into it. And what I'm doing here is giving you kind of an accelerated perspective on process. And then the only thing that changes when you're actually doing this as a job, you're doing this for a living, and you know, you're doing this for your demo reel, you just take these phases and you dive deeper. You get better. You spend more time. You push that particular area. Right, that's the primary thing that that makes a difference here. Because right, like I look at this and there's like a mix of Elon and a couple of other things that for JCVD, and we should probably just load that reference too. But ultimately, my goal is to provide kind of like a foundation for it, for you to see this and for you to see what needs to happen. And then it's just a function of time. It's a function of like a lot of time and putting in that time. And I'll show you, you know, because the one that I put more time in, you can tell. Let's just take these all the way down. Move them off to the side. And do I still have JCVD here? Yeah. So here's JCVD. And this is actually what we're going to start to look at and talk about today. But this one has more time spent on him than, not that one, not that one. That was an early version of him. Not that one. This one. All right, this is the one we've been working on. So there's a couple of differences and a couple of things that I think that are a little bit more powerful in the JCVD. Let's go here. And I kind of feel the volume and the life of this one a little bit more. And of course, it's because there's a lot more time spent on this. And massaging and, you know, hours and hours of trying to find these forms and really push this stuff around and get the proper dimensions and all of that. So I don't want to kind of get you thinking that this is something that really should just be happen super, super fast. Okay. It takes time. All right, I'm checking the comments and making sure that you guys can still hear me. Cool Bear, 12 Days of Realism. I learned all the mistakes I was doing in my sculpts. Awesome, my friend. Nizumi, love the series. Can you please show or say a few words about getting wrinkles that over the lid, especially on an older person? I'm going to do more than show. Or more than say, I should say. I will be showing today some element of that. Again, in this moment, it's a brief moment in time where we get to look at and talk about all this stuff and how we can be better. And you have to remember that it's the grind that matters. It's the time, it's the energy, the love that you put into the piece that's ultimately going to determine, the success. So if we were to, I don't know, I don't think I have any, there's the anatomy of him. I don't think I have any early history on this guy. Because this is what, let's imagine that you'd spent a lot of time on it. Let me see real quick if I have this. And this way we'll just go through the exact process. JCD, ZBrush. It's unlikely to be there. Yeah, because all that history is gone. All right, so we'll deal with these as two separate beasts. And I just want to spend more time. What's going on? Let's reset our brushes. I don't know what the heck that's all about. Okay. Get that mouth a little bit more. I feel like that nose is a little small, especially when I see him in comparison to my earlier one. I feel like I need to really drop that brow down. I think that's a mistake I made in the earlier one as well. Gotta be careful though. Don't get that too big. And yeah. All right. Now, ultimately what's happening and what's really important to keep in your mind is he doesn't look real, right? And there's a reason. It's because he's got all these clay marks on him. And he's got all this stuff going on. So of course he doesn't look real. And that's exactly the thing that we have to deal with here, because now we've got to find a way to stop and to move. Because a lot of times, and I like to tell my students this, it's like we spend a lot of time, a lot of energy sucking. And we almost do it on purpose. When you reach a plateau, you have to remember that, the plateau is a meaningful moment. So do you just keep grinding? Usually not. You have to shift your focus. So go back to day 3 of the 12 days here, and you'll see what we did was we changed our focus. We changed the way we approached things. I was focused on silhouette in day 3, and I had basic silhouettes, but in order for me to get that next level of realism, I needed to go in and look at lines and structures, and I handled it in 10 minutes. All right, we have everything kind of roughly in place here. We can move all of this stuff around later on, but it still doesn't feel right, And you could spend a week here grinding on this and not making much progress. You have to shift. Process is power. Mastery is not magic. It is process. That's it. So what I'm going to do now is smooth out all of this, and when I smooth out, I'm going to lower the Z intensity, and so I can be a little bit more gingerly about this. Sometimes I'll use the smooth directional brush, which I think is a very powerful brush. Lovely brush. Okay, and I gotta fix that neck real quick. It's basically killing me there. Almost there. And we're gonna have a slight existential dilemma here in a second. But I know exactly the decision I'm gonna want you to make, and I'm gonna be quite clear about why I want you to make this decision that we're gonna have here in a moment. And the reason why I say it like that is because it costs you money. Not money to me, but it'll cost you money to get to the next level here. But for my money, it's, you know, one of the most essential things you gotta do, right? And remember, you know, we're in day 7. So as I look at this, I'm like, I turn symmetry off. Please be patient with me. These little things. And I start to see them more, right? You ever see that? You're like suddenly you see all the problems. And it's all right there. All right. I'm just checking here. Okay. Good. Okay, and now the thing that we got to keep in mind, restore configuration, is this has UVs. What? No UVs? Did we really lose the UVs? Oh man, let's take a look at this guy. Morph UVs. Uh-oh. 2 million polys. That was a mistake. This base mesh was supposed to have UVs. Oh, I'm live. There's my Claudia. Looks like ZBrush has decided to pause right when we're live. I love it. Hey Chia. Nazumi, after hours spent on sculpting, I need to stop, leave it for a day, and come back to it. Then I start to see all my mistakes. 100%. The UV, very easy to missing in ZBrush. Yes, right? Well, I think I'm being a little lackadaisical here that this wasn't prepped in advance. All right. Do we wait? No. I'm just going to close this beast. So everything's pretty much set there. So back into ZBrush. Let's close that. That's behind the scenes of ZBrush workshops. Okay, recent, day 6. And let's resolve the first problem we got to deal with. We got to get UVs on our model. Okay, and because the primary method that we're going to use here for awesome is texturing.xyz. We're going to use their new skin collection. And we're going to use one of these multi-channel faces. So I'm going to load up Photoshop. We'll get that kind of rolling. There we go. All right, and then let's just take care of the UVs real quick. So this is the model. Hopefully this all works. Otherwise, I'll have to, on the fly, find another way to do this for you guys. But here's the model. These guys should be the exact same polygon count. So I'm going to check it right now. 8046. 8046. Right. Oh. That's just what more time and love give you. All right, so I'm going to take this. This one has the UVs already in it. I can tell. Morph UV. There you go. They're nice UVs. And then we can export these. So I think that'll work just fine. We'll come into our other piece. And when you're going to import UVs, you need to store a morph target. You import it. It's going to take over that shape, right? And then you come back into the morph target and you switch it back. And I'm like, oh yeah, here I see all the mistakes. Oh no, I want this one. All right. So let's go with this one, because you don't care. You're going to delete the morph. Well, actually, I do care. So let's switch. Then you can delete the morph. There's a lot of geometry in there. And then let's check our UVs. Okay, great. All right, I am going to take my Q, though. I'm going to pull that down. In fact, don't delete it. Just do some little adjustment. Flatten that eye a little bit. I think that was actually one of the, it's this whole brow really is quite flat for him. Probably not as flat as I had it there. And the rest of it I stand by. I'm pretty okay with. Okay. So that's ours. And we can delete that morph target. It just saves energy in here. And we have our UVs in here. And all of that's going to work as we kind of progress here. Yeah, it's definitely got some Elon Musk going on in there. Let's look at our reference. It is entirely possible that my brain will not let me do this. I'm going to leave that always on. Let me do a quick assessment of it. Yeah. Da. Come down. Grab a little bit of that. Definitely has a lot more meat down in this areas. Okay. All right, and then the other thing we just got to keep in mind is that so much of this we start to resolve over time. So let's start the resolution process. We're going to commit. I'm not actually known for my capacity to commit. I run through business ideas. I run through partners. I run through teachers. But not kids and my wife. We're at 10 years now. Sonia and I. That was her earlier. You might have heard her coming in going, honey? I'm like, I'm live. Careful what you say next. All right. Let's work with that. Yeah. We'll live with this. Cool. And we have our UVs. And we have about 500,000 polygons in there. So now what we've got to do is, and let's make sure that our UVs are a certain size. 248. We really want that to be 4096. Okay, so make sure you save that at 4096. All right, good. Okay, doesn't have any effect on it in that particular way. It has to do with when we create it. All right, so what we got to do now is we need to create some sort of base, something that's going to help us understand, exactly where all of these things are. So one of the things that we'll do is we're going to come down, and maybe what I can do is show it to you inside of Photoshop. This is what we're going to create today. I'm going to do this live with you guys, assuming everything goes swimmingly. Textures. Let's go into the JCOD skin. Where's my skin? There you go. This is what we're going to do. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that this is actually that as well. That's the beautiful thing of texturing XYZ. And if you look in the different channels, there's going to be something different. Let's turn that off. There we go. This is one of the things I think is really great about what Jeremy's done. Now, ignore all the crazy because it's all these different layers that I haven't modified for this. But you can see there's a different level of detail in each one of the red, the green, and the blue. And so we use those to help us craft pores and wrinkles in a much more engaging way. Here's the catch. It costs money. It's going to cost 40 bucks, right? I think I bought a couple. I can't remember exactly which ones I bought. We can go into my asset folder here where I've got a bunch of different things I bought. And I think we used the multi-channel, this one, 40, the full face. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work, right? Just blows my mind. You see the albedo, you're going to see the raw, there's the displacement, the utility, all of these things. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how you can apply these things so that they work here and they fit your UVs. And then within ZBrush, you're going to be able to go into this and you will have a map. That's the map right there. That's the map that we ended up creating. And if I turn the displacement on, and I got to turn the just turn the displacement on, and I gotta have some sort of a texture in there, and I well, I guess we'll leave it that way. So let's switch over into a skin shade, and let's go into display properties and take our desmooth, or better yet, why don't we just go into geometry dynamic subdivision. There you go, right? It's all still low res, but I have a displacement being applied inside of ZBrush. This then has texture matching it, sorry. And on top of that, you're then able to craft the layers. That's one of the beautiful parts of this. So let me turn the displacement off. I'm going to turn the texture off. And I loathe this moment when it takes this thing black. And I don't have the layers anymore here because I deleted them. But I created a red, a blue, a green. And that's what I'm going to do with you guys right now because it is way too powerful. Okay. So let's go back to matte cap gray. And come on. Let's go back to our guy. Right there. Ugh. Keep seeing problems. All right. So what we need to do is we need to extract some sort of displacement map. Something that's going to carry some details. Tell us where the eyes are. Tell us where the nose are. Tell us where the bump is on the forehead, right? And then as soon as we see this, we're going to clone it. So you click the little clone button. I'm over here in the bottom left. Sorry, right. It's my dyslexia. And then you can turn it off. Then we're going to go into the normal map, which is also quite powerful. And we're going to create a normal map, and I don't care about any of these things. Like, I used to work at Pixelogic back in the day, and we worked on ZMapper. I spent months of my life in ZMapper and working with EA and Ubisoft and all these places, and then the whole thing just went straight to hell in the handbasket. ZMapper just died. And, you know, that's the way of the work, I guess. Let's go and say day 6. This is the displacement. I'm going to export it as a Photoshop because I don't really care about TIFF, and I don't care about 16-bit or any of these things. None of those are really relevant to me, because all I'm using D6 normal map. All I'm doing is I'm using this as a texture to help me set things up, and you're going to see here in a second. All right. Now again, this is $40. And I'm not trying to be an advertiser, or I'm not a part of Texturing XYZ. I don't know Jeremy personally, just through emails. But I do know that if you have to give up 5 lattes to get this, you need to give up 10 lattes. You just need to stop drinking lattes altogether. And you need to put your money here. There's a really important reason why here, because you've got 2 choices when you're thinking about how to do pores and skin wrinkles. And one of them is I'm going to do it by hand. The other one is I'm going to use photo reference like this and things like that. And this is going to be some of the best photo reference that you can get. It's correlated with display. Jeremy's done an amazing job on this, you know. But if you're sculpting them by hand and by, you know, and you don't, are you going to go sit there and stare at somebody and be like, oh, that's that wrinkle. Oh, shit, I didn't know it did that. So it goes up. I thought that it was bumped down, right? So it's like, does it bump up? Does it bump down? Is it, you know, like the neck has the little pimply things, and you get up here into the cheeks and the nose, and it's all pop marked, right? These are all things that people can tell you. You get 2 of these, you learn more about pores and wrinkles than I think you can any other way. So it's worth the investment. And I know some of you guys are going to be outside of America, so it's a lot more than, like, when I was in India, chai was, well, we don't want to talk about how much chai was. It was ridiculous. It was pretty unbelievable. Jamie. He's live. How are you, Jamie? Yeah, I'm doing late ones now, because it was just work all day. It was like annoying. Chia, what's difference setting between Unreal and Unity and normal maps? God knows. God knows. Yeah. Anyways. They read them different directions. Usually, though, what you have to understand, especially about normal maps nowadays, is back when I was developing ZMapper, it was crazy land. Today, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty standardized. You either flip Y or you flip a color channel or something like that. It's not that big of a deal. And my advice to people is to be clever monkey. Just be the cleverest monkey. Okay, let's head ourselves over here. We're going to go in, and I believe they are stored here in work and the face. Yes, they are. I'm going to grab both of those, open those up, and I'm going to just make them inside each other. Oh, so this displacement map, let's copy this displacement map into the normal map. That'll, okay, we'll get there. There we go. We'll kill the displacement because it's a gray 16-bit as a Photoshop file. I'm also going to flip this vertically. There we go. And are you ready? Are you ready? Ready for the fun stuff? Okay. The stuff I'm about to show you, if I can remember it, is pretty simple. But the thing that you got to remember is that you got to have your UVs laid out, right? And there's a reason why I'm not showing you that in the 7 days of the day 7 and the 12 days of realism, and because why would anybody spend a day on that? It's something that you must master, but this is the part. This is the meat and potatoes, and understanding how to work with this. This is what's going to make a really big difference. So we've got our stuff here, and so I'm going to load in the files. I'm going to load in my source. So let's go into source, my assets. Come on, hard drive. Not Bao, not Frank. We want multi-channel, full face. I'm going to grab this, this, and this. I'm going to grab them all. Load them all up. They're huge. Absolutely massive, massive files. So we're going to grab this, copy that, and I'm going to paste that in. Okay? And I'm going to do that for everything. Just paste it in. And they'll all come in the same basic place. There we go. And I'm going to close them so I don't have to look at that and deal with that. Okay, I'm going to take each one, convert it to a smart object. Okay, then I'm going to just look at one. And you see how big they are, right? Absolutely massive. And I roughly align this, and I'm basically roughly aligning the ears. Yeah, almost. And I'm comparing it this way. You see, I could have these UVs laid out a little nicer. There we go. Okay, now we're going to actually have to do that for all of them. I should have remembered what the size was. Almost. I'm going to open that up just a touch bit, then put it back. There you go. Okay. Let these things all transform. All right, so we want these all to be roughly the same size. We're also wanting these, like, I'm just going to come in and add a fill layer, something kind of peachy. There you go, for that. And then we'll throw that in the back. And we'll use one of these to just help us kind of see what we need. So we can put this in here. And then the other thing we can do, so we go back into ZBrush and we just get our UV map. So I'll go into the texture. I'm going to turn polyframe on. And I'm going to say create. I'm going to say create from UV check. I don't know why it's not create from UV map, but I'm not complaining. So let's export that. And that's going to be D6 UV map. Okay, let's load that in. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, sorry. We put those under work, face, and there we go. Okay, we're gonna go image, flip this canvas. Oops. Uh-oh. Well, we'll see what happens. And then put that as a soft line. Lower the opacity. Okay. Now, some beautiful, beautiful stuff going on in here, right? Some just wonderful things. But now what we need to do is we need to go in here and we need to kind of, we need to warp this thing into perspective. We're going to use a feature. It's a new feature to me. It's actually one of Jeremy's tutorials that really helped me kind of see this. But it's called Puppet Warp. And so let's move these guys up. And we're going to get the eyes kind of roughly lined up, and the mouth roughly lined up, and the ears. There you go. Yeah, I think that's going to work pretty nice. Okay, and let's lower our opacity. And we're going to probably want to zoom in to do this. How are you guys doing? Are you still with me? This still all making sense to you? Let me check in. Octavian. On YouTube, you're Ian, huh? All right, great. Octavian, make sure that you scroll back. And what I want you to do is see the part where we are... let's go over here. Octavian, guys, he's in my Artist Awake. He's in my network back over there. And so you need to get to the point where you're smoothing this out. And there's a lesson in there, which is that at some point you just have to give. This is just the phase that we need. Mariana, I only started learning 3D, and as modeling and sculpting so far look pretty straightforward to me. All this UV texturing stuff is kind of overwhelming. Tell me about it. I'm over here and I'm like, which is it? What's the button? There's so many things to remember. Yeah. All right. Melina. Thanks, Melina. Oh, I have a little dog. I have Claudia with me. Good, good. All right. We got to move this stuff around. Basic problem we have is we have an ear here in the UVs, and we have an ear here in the texture. How do we move it over? Right? We've got an eye that ends there, but the UVs, it needs to be here. It starts there, and that needs to move down so that they're kind of at odds to each other. Okay, corner of the mouth, and then the corner of his mouth, right? And then the added problem that we have is that we want to be able to move these into place, but then also be able to transfer that to all the other elements and the other things that we have to work on. So what we'll do is we'll select this, we'll go into Edit, and we'll go into Puppet Warp. Okay, and the way Puppet Warp works is you click on some point, you create a pin, and then you can move that pin around. Okay, now in the beginning, it moves everything, right? So now I got to pick another one, so I'm going to put it right there, and then I'm going to move that into place. Okay, I'm going to put another one, and I'm going to move that into place. Pretty cool, huh? Then I'm going to move that into place. And these are always here. So if you scroll down over here into the tabs, oh, we got to exit it. I'll press the little check mark at the top, and you see the smart filter, and you see the puppet warp. You can turn that on and off, right? And then I can grab it. Some things work. And I'm pretty sure, what was it? Alt, click and drag. There you go. And so now each one of these has that exact same puppet warp. Now, I'm going to do a lot of work on this, so I actually need to delete these. So delete the smart filter, because then otherwise it'll put one smart filter on top of another smart filter, and that's not what we want. So now we're going to come in here and we're going to go into the puppet warp. Double click it. I'm going to go into the corner of the mouth, and I'm going to try to find the corner there. And you got to be careful, because what it's doing is it's trying to kind of find this curve, right? So the result of that isn't actually what I wanted. So I gotta think it through, and maybe I gotta pin out here, and oh yeah, that's better result. So just be a little careful, and then let's go and say move this over, and I'm gonna pin the ear. Okay. Come on, Ryan. Okay. There we go. There we go. Come on. Oof. That's screwing me up. Pin and move it in. Careful not to get too much crazy warp going on. And then pin and move that in. Okay, I think I need to do a pin and pull that out. Pin and pull that out. Okay, this one looks pretty okay. And I need to make a pin, move that nose over. There you go. Yeah, so my nose significantly bigger. Fair enough. And then I'm going to move the eyebrow down closer, this eyebrow down closer, and then now I've got my pins. All right. Now, here's the trick. It's a lot of back and forth. All right, a lot. And you should be comfortable with that. Let's just click our little checkbox, and let's get rid of our wireframe, and then I'll save this. I'm going to yeah, there it goes. It's saving it. We gotta wait. D6 normal map. As soon as this is done saving, we're gonna go into ZBrush, load it up, and we're gonna say, okay, well, this is what we need to change. This is what we need to move. So we're gonna import that texture. It's this guy right here. It's not flipped, so that's going to be a problem. Yeah, Alex is saying Puppet Warp is awesome. That's pretty sweet, huh? Okay, so loaded it up. There it is. Now we're going to go into our texture map. We're going to load that up. Or, I've been through this road a couple of times. I'm going to actually go into texture, select it, and I'm going to flip it vertically. Then I'm going to come over into texture, and I'm going to load it up. Okay, let's put our skin shade in there. See what we see. See some crazy? Yeah. But I see some okay stuff. So the brow's down a little too much right there. So I'm going to come into Puppet Warp, and I'm going to raise that up. And that side's actually pretty okay. It's this one that's down a little. There we go. Okay, and then the lip, not so good. Let's look at that. Oh, I can't. But the bottom lip is actually within range, but I'm going to probably just move the whole thing up. Okay, what about the bottom? It's actually kind of nice where that is, I think. And let's look at the ear. So we could move this point down a little bit and back a little bit. And then what about here? Oh yeah. That could be moved quite a bit, I think, if I understood it correct. Alright, and then this needs to move down a bit, because you see it coming right up there. Oops. Then let's try this side. That side's okay. I'm okay with that side. And the nose is a little funky. It actually includes the nose. Jeremy. By he, I mean Jeremy. But look at that. I'm not enjoying that stretch. So let's hit OK on this. That's why. You see the red lines right there, which are actually supposed to be on the other side of the nostril. They're actually on the nostril. So that's a problem. Okay, I'm going to move that up. And yeah, big old nostrils. Okay. So we're going to definitely run into some limitations in what this can do. Okay, fair enough. I keep going in the same place, don't I? And it's like, hey, I already told you, fool. What's up? All right, there we go. Pretty cool. Ear hole. I'm going to try to divine where that ear hole is, but that's actually, it's looking pretty good. And, okay. So I'm going to look in the back of the ear. Back of the ear? Yeah. Probably the same over there. Back of the ear is much better here. All right, so this is that cloth that needs to be taken. And then here is, that's actually quite beautiful, and that's because he gave us some distance there. It's like this, these guys overlap, so that's part of the problem. That's there. It doesn't look all that nice to me. Whoops. Well, there we go. All right, how y'all doing? Let's save that, and we're gonna save the file. And just because you saved the file, and look, it says saving 0, it doesn't matter. You must load it again inside of it. Hello, Mr. Parker. Mahmoud. Absolutely. You're welcome. Mariana. Oh my God, this is crazy and awesome. Mariana, that's exactly the response I wanted. Ian never knew they had this. I know, right? Mariana, yes, you can actually. Liquify is... There's limits to what Puppet Warp can do. So then you do have to start to think about Liquify. And in fact, we'll try that. I think, let me get myself over into Facebook. There we go. All right, so we saved that. It saved itself over. And then we have to load it again. So we import, and you just get like a bunch of these guys, one right after another. ZBrush doesn't care. When I was there, we built this kind of like this refresh, like it stored it, but it wasn't stable. So we ended up not doing that. And now I can never remember which one is which. So I think it's that one. Even though I worked there, I still can't remember these damn things sometimes. Let's go into this one. Okay. Oh, look at that. You see the problem? Let's exit out of that. Save it again. Go through this entire process again. One step at a time. But what's cool is that we're going to do this one time, and then we're going to transfer this to the displacement map. We're going to transfer this to all these other maps. All this stuff. Waleed, how are you? And I've been going about 48 minutes. And I can't go too long. My wife misses me, and I miss her. And I seriously need another mic boom. Okay, load that in. Import. I think this is the extent of what we're gonna do is right at this level. As soon as I get this next one in, and so let's go texture. Let's flip. Let's move it over, and there you go. Check it out. All right, a lot of things I'd like to fix here. There's no question in my mind. Okay, but I have only so much time today, and I'm really here to show you one thing. And as you're going through this and you're doing this, the key to being successful here is iteration. You don't want it to be so that it's like one and you just never can go back here. So what I do, I'm gonna get this into the. I want to get to the pores as quickly as possible, but I'll be able to go back and make modifications and adjustments, and I'll show you the layer for the one where I spent a lot more time on it. It's a lot more work, right? I'm recreating that model, so to speak, for you, so that I can kind of encounter all the problems that you encounter as well. I find that it just helps. So now that we've got this and we're like, okay, whatever, it's gonna work. Now we got to take this puppet warp, make sure that there's no puppet warp in any other one, and we just press Alt and move that into all these other layers. There we go. And so now each one of these other layers is matched up perfectly. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here around the outside. So on top of this, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create another layer, because what I really want is this. This is the most important thing to me. So I'm going to grab this color right here, and I'm going to fill the entire thing with it. Okay, and then sometimes it's useful. Maybe we can do a layer over the top like that. Okay, so this is the base. Okay, this is the feathering. Okay, so in this one, I'm going to come in, low opacity, and my goal here, what's that all about? Oh, my goal is just to make that a softer transition, not so hardcore. Yeah, you gotta wait just a little bit. I'm almost done showing these guys everything I wanted to show them. Do me a favor, leave me a comment. With something like this, with so much complexity in here, it's important for me to know what you really picked up out of this. So I'd love to know what's something that you're learning in here, and I'd love to know how important it is to you too. You know, that stuff helps. All right, obviously it's late. I just spent a minute putting a gradient on there that could have been done 20,000 different ways, but it's free. You get what you pay for. All right, there we go. Now, here's the beautiful part. Are you ready? Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. I have 3 different displacement maps. Ta-da! Can we say it? Ta-da! Let's get these guys out. Let's save it out. I'm going to save it out, and I'm going to be, this is D6, this is displacement, and I'm going to say red. Displacement R. And then we're going to come in, and we're going to go to our green. Same thing. Save as. Oh, background saving. Save as. Well, get to it, folks. Background saving. Now we're saving the green channel. And what you notice, if you're a little eagle-eyed, this is bigger forms. And then when you come in and you see me switch over to the blue is smaller forms. And this is what's really cool about the whole conversation. So we're going to come in here. I'm going to say, save this as, and we'll save this as blue. Okay, now, this is not 16-bit. This is 8-bit. Okay, so yes, you know, there's other workflows out there, Mari, and even in some cases Mudbox, that preserve 16-bit. But this is a super fast, you can get out here and achieve something right away using Photoshop and ZBrush and get something done. And I think that's what's really going to be a powerful thing for you. You know, at least that's my goal. That's why I'm doing this. So, excuse me. I'm going to, what the heck? I'm going to import these all as alphas. Because that's how the displacement map takes it. Waleed, the 12 Days of Realism is just, it's not really a challenge, although it should have been. It's my gift to you. You know, that's it. That's my gift to people. It's like something that's been a major focus of my life. I mean, you know, a lot of what I've done is I've run online schools. I've partnered with other people. But in my heart has always been realism and traditional art. And this is my way of kind of reconnecting. So in day 3, you have the files. You can do all of this, follow along with me. You get the model. I think the UVs aren't there, so I'll have to check that. But there you go. Obviously, you don't get these textures. Jeremy would be quite unhappy with me. You got to buy those from texturing.xyz. And they are all from there. You'd have to ask Jeremy how he makes them, but to be honest, I don't think he's telling us. All right. So we now, with the texture on, we can go into the displacement, and we can load our displacements. But keep in mind, you know, it's we got to flip them. So we'll go into here, and we got to go into the alpha, flip vertically. Go into the green, flip vertically. Go into the red, flip vertically. Okay, there you go. Are they all upside down? Yes, they are. All right, let's go into the blue. Okay, and let's just preview this. I just want to show you, you know, and you can see that there's problems, right? These are all the things that we would fix. You'd fix them with a liquify, you'd fix them with a bunch of different things. But again, right now, my purpose is to show you the process. You got to go out there and spend that extra time, right? Because I mean, I certainly fixed them here, and I spent the time. Let's fill this up, and let's get ourselves. What? Let's get rid of the displacement and the texture. Does this have poly paint? Okay, there you go. All right. So this is what we're going to go towards. This is mine. I did this guy a little bit ago, and I'm showing you the techniques for achieving this. If you come in and we open up our marmoset file, this model, this with the skin that we set up here, and marmoset makes it relatively easy. There's a couple of like gotchas. You got to make sure that you set up scene scale, size, and for some reason by default it comes in at a meter. Don't get that. And then we go from there. Waleed, you're more than welcome. Alex, yes, okay, good. You got the answer. All right, while this is loading. Octavian, yeah, I'm glad. Here's the deal, Octavian. This is the next step. That's kind of why I wanted to really do this 12 Days of Realism, is because this is the next step. You could be sculpting this stuff in ZBrush all day, you know, forever, right? Like, a little bit ago, I did this not email. Yeah, I think I sent an email, but I did this video called Is ZBrush Dead? And the amount of hate mail I got from that was a little bit staggering, which is good, you know, because I spend my life trying to please people, and it's nice every now and then to tell people to screw off. But the principal point of that was that there's so much marketing, and you know, I was head of the marketing department at Pixelogic back when I was there, you know, and I was the head of it because I was the head of multiple departments. It was a small company back then. I love what they do. I love Ofer. His mind is amazing, and what he has done for us, there's no parallel. Very few of us have changed the lives of other people as much as Ofer did. But ZBrush is not the end all be all. And if your focus is a job, you have to think outside that box. And you got to push yourself, because ZBrush is so much fun and so addictive and so powerful, but it's not going to get you this. It's going to help you, but you got to get in and you got to learn other tools that are going to help you learn this. And you need those pores. The pores that I'm working on right now, you need these things. So you need to be jumping into ZBrush and love ZBrush and just soaking it up. And you need to be using texturing XYZ. And then you need to be getting this thing out and getting it into Marmoset and into Unreal and some of these other programs. All right, my diatribe over. This is what I want to help you get to. The texturing that you see here, it looks pretty extreme. This is what it looks like with subsurface scattering. If I come into the skin and I turn subsurface scattering off, let's go and set, where'd it go? I got the mic in my way. There we go. So the scatter depth is set to 3. I'm just going to set it to 0. There. So it's a whole lot of crazy. Specular still looks good, but there's a reason for that, and I'll explain why in another session. But the scatter depth just makes everything beautiful, glorious, just wonderful, right? And then there's all these other things that you have to learn, such as, and I'm skipping ahead, but I'm doing it on purpose and for a reason. Eye shields. Look what happens to those eyes. Does he look like freaked out? Does he look a little coked out of his mind? You got to put eye shields in, and you got to tamp down ambient, and you got to ramp up ambient, actually. There's a lot of things that you got to do to work that. And then, you know, the hair and the eyelashes, all that stuff needs to be adjusted and fixed and things of that nature. But when we're looking at this today, the principal thing that we need to be focusing on is how do we get a lot of crazy detail like this, okay? And so I'm actually going to come into white, texture map. I don't want this. I just want to say new from, can I do new from Polypaint? Yeah, I can. Good. I just want white. And you got to have white in order for this to work. All right. So we're going to create 3 different sets of pores. We've already set ourselves up for success. We have blue. We have green. Then we have red. What? Oh. What a rookie. What a rookie. I saved them all. Idiot. Okay, they're all this, basically. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. What an idiot. Okay. Now, it is Control-Shift-Copy. And then it is, let's go into a new one. Control-Shift-V. There you go. Red. Let's put the red right there. What happened to the coloring? Oh, that's what happened to the coloring. So let's go in and desaturate that. And then I will desaturate that. Voila. Okay, so that's my red. I'm going to come into the green. Close that up. I'm going to come back into this. There we go. I'm going to go into the green. Control-Shift-C. Then I'm going to come in. Control-Shift-V. Okay, let's check. I'm getting the exact same thing. All right. Hold on. Because this is my mind. Okay, again, you got to close that off. You want this piece. There we go. That's our red. Control-A. Copy this entire thing. See the little ants on the side. Control-Shift-C. Come right up into that one. Control-Shift-V. There you go. All right, that's our red. Close that up. Select our base. Come back into our channel. And that's the one I want. I want my green. Control-A. Control-Shift-C. And then I'm going to go into... Wow, that was incredibly weird and inappropriate. And Control-Shift-V. Okay, there. And then we're going to do... So that's my green. And that's my red. And then this is hopefully going to be my blue. Select the blue channel. Control-A, Control-Shift-C. And then I'll come in here and I'll Control-Shift-V. Great. Blue. And then I can kill this one. All right, now I actually have these guys out here. So now, I'm just going to get rid of that feathering. And now I have to save these. So Control-Shift, and I save this as red. Going to do this all over again. I got to wait for it to save. And while we're doing it, I'll give you the action shot. 50, 80, 90. Jerome, earlier in this video, Jerome is asking, in which video did you create the displacement map? Earlier in this video, my friend. Head over, I didn't create it. What I'm showing you is the technique using texturing.xyz. It's going to cost you $40. 5 lattes, 10 lattes. Yeah, 10 lattes. 10 lattes. And it's going to change your life. Because you're going to learn so much about pores. It's like a master class. So this is what I recommend that people do. And let's save this, and we'll save this as the green. And then when you know this, then you go do the whole thing that Chris Costa does. By hand, by scratch, you know, and you really work it. Okay. And then blue. All right, I'm excited for you guys to see this next step as soon as we get this done. Mariana. All right. I'm letting this thing save. It's still saying 8095. There we go. Great. Woohoo! All right. Let's get ourselves back in. And we got all this crazy. I can't really remove these things from ZBrush. It just doesn't let you, so you're just going to have to deal. And so I'm going to import them all again. We're going to have to flip them all again, and we're going to have to import them. Okay. Or put them into the displacements channel. So there's the RGB. Okay. So these are all the same. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, good. That's mine. Alpha, flip. This one, flip. This one, flip. Okay, great. They're all flipped. Let's come into this. Okay, there we go. Set our intensity down to 0.01. Okay. Now, that's one map. Let's flip to another map. You see the difference? No, because I got the big ass mic boom in your face. And then here. Okay, fine detail. There. Big, huge folds. That's the red channel. That's the green channel. That's the blue channel. Okay, and what you're seeing is exactly what you see here. So we can close all these guys. It's exactly what you see when you're looking at this. That's why this has this kind of weird color. And this is very specific to texture.xyz. But it's a beautiful thing that they did. You know, and it's something that, say, Mari does. And in game engines, you'll kind of tie different bits of information into different color channels. You know, because if you're talking about a displacement is basically just XYZ information and a value. You don't need RGB. You just need grayscale. But there's efficiencies in working with multiple channels, like a red, green, and a blue, so you can actually get 3 displacement maps, 3 different maps stored in there. You could get you could get specular, you could get your displacements, you could get a whole bunch of things all in one map. And you know, maybe have one draw call. Maybe. All right, so this is really powerful how this works. We're seeing that's the red, that's the green, that's the blue. This is the fine detail, medium detail, and larger detail, okay? And you're seeing that directly applied inside of ZBrush as soon as it stops saving. We're going to have to massage these. We're going to have to do all that, but that's going to be for another day. For today, my most important thing I want to share with you is what happens. So what's going to happen next? We're going to divide this model up to about 2 million polygons. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a layer. And I'm going to call this layer displacement blue. Okay. And then I'm going to come into my displacement. I'm going to turn it on and make sure you've got a texture on or it won't work. You come into your displacement and then you set it. So what's my intensity? 0.02? A little crazy. 0.01. You know, back in the olden days, we used to have to inflate things. We used masks. But this mode in this channel, this is a recent update. Okay, 0.015, 0.01. Kind of cool, 0.01. Okay, so then we apply the displacement. There's a little inflation that happens. So you got to keep that in mind. And maybe what we can do is I'm going to undo the apply. And I'm going to try a negative 0.01. No. Although, I definitely have a use for that. 0.015, 0.01. Yeah, apply displacement. All right, then we come into our layer, and you just turn that recording mode off. We're up here in the corner. Da-done. Da-done. Okay, and then you just create a new layer. We're going to call this blue, green. All right. Now we're going to come down into our displacement, and we're going to select our green map, right? And it's probably wise to turn the other layer off, right? So you only want to see one layer at a time. Otherwise, you're really not going to get what's going on. I had to go back into record mode, come back into the displacement, and I'm in the right one. But it's pretty weak. Yeah, I need to up that. So I'm gonna then apply it. There's a little inflation that happens. You get, this all multiplies. There you go. Okay, so that's the green. So that's the green. That's the blue. Okay, yeah, it looks like crap. Don't worry. Trust, Ryan. Have I ever led you astray? There was that time we shut off the on-demands and then we had to turn them back on. Maybe that was one time. 0.02. Okay, there we go. What about 0.03? Oh, look at that. That's like that's pretty hardcore. Let's do that. Okay, apply. Oh, wait. How much movement did we get? Oh, got a lot. Okay, that's a tough one. So let's just keep it at 0.2. Apply. Okay, great. Go into our layer. Turn it off. All right. Now, how much salt do you like with your eggs? How does that work? All right, Cody, I can't see your comment. It's not letting me. It says, found out that copying directly from channels and copying them in RGB will give... we don't get it. I don't get his answer. Nathaniel Douglas. I've known Nathaniel Douglas for a long time, folks. How are you, Nathaniel? Wally, do you like Marvelous? Or I like Marvelous. I instruct all my students to use Marvelous. I actually used to teach a class with Steve Lord. Actually, Steve taught the class, really. And he's the only person I would trust to teach sculpting clothing inside of ZBrush. But even he has a hard time comparing. Yeah? It's amazing what Marvelous can do. All right. Now, what the fuck? Saving right in the middle of this, so let's give an action shot. There we go. I didn't ask it to save. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up here into this corner and we're going to adjust the layers. We're going to find what really works. And then we're going to create another layer that's going to go in and kind of add some more quality to it. And then I'm going to go to sleep. I don't know about you. That's going to be my 12 days. All right, so let's head back to the screen. And let's turn them on. Bump, bump, bump. All right, pretty nuts, yeah? Okay, that's normal. What we need is to start to dial them in. So you set them all at like, I don't know. Set them all at like 0.3. Somewhere right around there. Right, because you got to remember. Oh yeah, I was gonna draw. You've got a 1, a 1, and a 1, and if you remember from your kindergarten class, that equals 3. Did anybody get it? Did anybody get it before I got it? So that means that you're getting 1 and 2 and 3. You're getting a big effect. So if we set it to 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, we're going to get 1, sort of. I skipped kindergarten. And now what we need to do is just kind of dial it up and down. You got to be a little careful. Okay? And then not only that, but you also just have to start to get a feel for this and understand kind of how it goes. But either way, no matter how you swing this, you've got to push. So if you look at this marmoset here, It's got some good stuff going on. It's got some good detail. You can see some of the things going on, and some of it you might miss in the stream. But that's this one. And look at that. That looks crazy. So you need to push to be able to get a decent result in the render. Okay? And then you store these here so you can always go back. You can always go back and bake and try something and work it from here. Let's set this to 0.4. In fact, what happens if I take my green up? Yeah. Okay. And then we take this up. All right. Now, notice it looks pretty good in the eyes. Looks pretty crap down here. How do we deal with that? So glad you asked. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to call it correctives. Okay. And then within that layer, I'm going to do a whole bunch of like just dirty work. So I'm going to store a morph target. And then I'm going to, with that, I'm going to turn all these layers back on. And go back into the recording of my corrective. I'm going to use the morph brush. And symmetry on. And now you got to be real careful. Like Z intensity. Is it Z intensity? I think the morph, yeah. So I'm just going to tamp that down. And what it's really doing is it's restoring it to the previous state. The previous state being that morph target. Okay. There we go. So I kind of liked what was going on in the eye, but I didn't like how it was affecting the lips. Kind of like that lower lip. But here it was getting a little nuts. Kind of like that nose. And then we go from there. Okay, let's use this view. It's a little bit cleaner. And let's tamp that down a tiny bit. All right. Now, this layer is funky, right? So if I was to turn all these other guys off and all you saw was this layer, you'd see these kind of weird things. Because it's being used to pull stuff out of other layers. So it's an odd layer. And we spent a lot of time on layers. Like, that was a big thing when I worked there. And I don't think we kind of nailed it. And they haven't really adjusted it much since then. But this is pretty crazy powerful. Now, I usually like to create another layer, and I'll just call this one manual. And this is just so I keep the correctives as their own beast. Okay, now then we come in and we got to use. I would normally use Orb's rake brush, but I haven't downloaded it since I overrode it last night. Crack's brush is really good. I saved the H polish brush over it for some silly reason. Okay, now when you're creating wrinkles, you're adding on top of these guys, there's a couple of things you got to understand. And this is what I think is really important about getting in and really analyzing the reference that's out there, right? From texture.xyz. So let's go back to their source. I'm going to go to assets. I'm going to go into the multi-channel face. I'm coming here and I'm going to just load in the displacement. And I'm loading it in because it's a big file. So I'm going to look at the green. And I want you to look at the nasolabial fold. That's the nasolabial fold there. It goes above the nostril, down, over, and to the side of the nodule. Now I want you to look at that. Is it a straight line? I mean, it's the nasolabial fold, but is it a straight line? The big mistake that a lot of us get into, myself included, is we're just like, yeah, let's put a line in there. We'll put a line in there. Put a line in there, you know? Because there's a freaking line right there. That's a pretty damn strong-ass line. But it's not a line. It's a lot of lines. That's the thing that you got to keep in mind, right? Oh, wow, I'm going at an hour and 20 minutes. Yes. Look at the magic. Look close, or you'll miss it. Do you see a pattern there? If you're eagle-eyed, you'll see a pattern. This, and that. And even that. They're very similar. Incredibly similar. Notice the length of them. So close to each other. Notice that they all kind of start off a little bit off. And that they all kind of come the other way at the end. Pick up the magic, the mystery of all of this stuff, you know? You come in here and you look at this and it's like, you know, I might have come in and just been like, hey, here's a whole bunch of wrinkles. But that's not what's going on. You know, that's a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And that, and then that's even that. And then this, and really just, and then this breaks, and then that breaks, and then that breaks, and that breaks. And then this breaks, and this breaks, and then that breaks. Start to become, you know, incredibly sensitive to changes. That's going to be really important. So if I'm going to come in and start to sculpt this, and if I go, and I'm like, hey, baby, I know how to sculpt. Yeah. Dude, what'd you do to his face? I screwed it up. All right. Day 7 of 12 Days of Realism. You saw the technique for going in, creating pores. It's going to cost you some lattes. You're going to have to do a lot more work than I did right here in front of you. You know, I've done this work, right? I mean, you're looking at that work right there. That work in progress. Make sure you're in record mode. Watch my finger. In fact, this is a good one for an action shot. Look at how I'm imitating what's actually happening. Coming from this side, coming in, and down, out. And out. And then out, like that. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, oh, that's too much. Okay. And you store all of those in. Now with JCVD, there's some really crazy stuff going on right in here. So I'm going to switch over to Damien's standard brush. It's not my favorite because most people can they instantly see Damien's standard brush wrinkles. But you can just break the line. And then be patient, because, you know, whatever you do here inside a ZBrush, again, so much disappears. Look at that. So much is just disappearing when we look at this. And we've got a lot of things to do. A lot. We've got stubble. We got peach fuzz. I don't know if you can see the peach fuzz in there. Let's switch over to the screen. There's a million things that we do. But you've seen now the basic principle for establishing the wrinkle. This is the process I used. This is the process that led to this guy. This guy is the base for what we have there. And this is the one where it's like, this has got hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work. Okay. But what do you think? Cool? Exciting? Do you feel like you just discovered some magic secret? My goal here and my principal focus in showing you this over showing you how to manually sculpt is because this gives you power to grow. Manually sculpting the pores is going to always be this John Henry game where you're always trying to outdo the machine. Make the machine work for you. Learn it, and then later you do it from scratch, right? But right now, the biggest and most important thing that I can tell anybody and that I tell all my students almost every day is, where's the win? Get the win. Because this life, this journey, this process of art is going to be filled with struggle. Get your wins, okay? That's so important. And it makes a difference. It's not if. It makes a difference in your portfolio if you have characters that have clothing that from Marvelous Designer that have pores and things like that. And nobody's going to sit down and be like, oh, you didn't sculpt these by hand? Because they're not sculpting them by hand. And why are they not sculpting them by hand? Because an executive looked at them and they said, are you out of your effing mind? Get this damn thing done. Because, it's not some, artist holiday. It's like, I'm going to do this. No, we all work within a marketplace. And it's a job. And you need to produce results. The goal and the magic is being happy producing results and producing better results all the time. That's where I think this is a super powerful workflow because, I learned so much. I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is like, oh, wow. This is beautiful. I'll have to show it to you another day. Not today, but I manually sculpted all of the pores using all the alphas, Chris's alphas. I think I used some of Frank's, although I wasn't quite sure what was his and what wasn't. It didn't compare. There was just no comparison. And that had everything to do with I didn't have the skill set developed to make this happen. All right? So it all comes down to you getting into Photoshop and building these assets. This is mine. This is what we put together. We. The royal we. Jesus. I'm all by myself. It's so funny when the kids get upset, I actually sing all by myself. And then we put violin music on and my son stops crying. And then he gets pissed. All right. A lot of stuff going on here. Lots. I fixed a lot. I put pink into the eye. There was a million different things that went in to this. And if you look at the maps, because ultimately what you have to remember, and we're getting in towards this conversation now. The principal thing that you are producing here, if you're in my boot camp or if you're focused on the things I'm focused on, the principal thing you're producing is you're producing a low res OBJ and you're producing maps. You're producing a specular map, a subscatter map, a translucency map, a curve map. You're producing a normal map. You're producing, I think that's probably enough. And your skin, but we have skin already loaded. So here's skin, here's a curvature, normal map, here's a spec, and here's translucency, and here's subsurface scattering, right? Subsurface scattering is kind of the same as the color, kind of. It's just a simpler map. I got rid of stuff. Specular, I go in and I do a bunch of different things, but I tell you the specular map is nothing compared to this one particular thing that this map makes possible. right? And that one thing is something we're going to get to, and it deals with this cavity here, and we're going to get to this towards the end. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. I hope I was useful. I hope I did not waste yours or my time. Head over to GameArtInstitute.com. You can go over into the blog section. I don't think I've posted day 6, but I'll post them tomorrow. You can head over to, that was weird. Head over to blogs. You'll see all the days. If you want to download the assets, like day 3, right there. Putting the paint on the canvas, that's where you can get all of the assets. You can see the other progress that I've done. You see we missed day 5. Got to talk to my team about that. And if you want to know more, if you want to work with me more, there's lots of different ways to work with me or work with some of the artists that are teaching over at Game Art Institute. The boot camp is out there. That's happening. And then I started something, and I don't know. This is brand new to me, so I'm not quite sure how you'll respond to this. Let me know if this is interesting to you. But we started a digital sculpting mentorship. You just go to courses, digital sculpting mentorship. It's a 4-week thing. It's a low cost, twice a week, so it's high impact, and it's only 10 people can be in there. And we're going to go through all this stuff that we're doing now and hear some of the students and some of their work and all that stuff. So details are over there at Game Art Institute. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing evening. I'll talk at you later. All right, ciao. Oh, Alex, I answered yours. Hold on. Thanks, Alex. On, hey, how are you? Waleed, I think the realism of the face, you never find the right side of the face is the same with the left side. No, and right now we have symmetry, but Waleed, keep symmetry on. Keep it on. Because it's the very last thing you do. It's too many problems. Mariana, have a great night. Ta-ta. Igor, thanks, my friend. Okay, Alex, anytime. Yep, Game Art Institute it is. That's where you can learn more. That's where we are these days.